talking about, Jake.
I've worked in the private sector. They expect results.
The Nation of Jake on NewsTalk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis.
All right, welcome to it. There we go. The Nation of Jake, NewsTalk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis.
Yes, have some.
There we go. We're all good getting situated here in the East Memphis studio. Rain all day on this Monday, December the 5th, year of our Lord 2022. 2 to 5 inches of rain expected this week. This is no fun. Look, a rainy day here and there does not bother me, but all week? Come on. It's going to ruin everything. Traffic will be affected. Activities will be canceled. Your socks will get soaked. That's the worst feeling in the world, by the way, is when your socks are soaked and your feet are wet when they're not supposed to be. Look, if we're lucky, it won't knock out the power. The MLGW outage map, it looks okay right now. I'm keeping my eye on it. I believe we have 7 outages with 15 customers affected. How would you like to be one of those 15 people right now? But again, look, anything can happen here. All it takes is one waterlogged branch, get a little bit heavy, fall on some power lines, one hydroplaning Buick out there crashing into some sort of jerry-rigged cable system that they've got, and then boom, lights out, just like that. So we'll keep an eye on it. Hopefully nothing like that will happen. And so if you are leaving work or planning on leaving work this afternoon, always keep an eye on traffic. We'll keep an eye on it as well. The bright side is the lines at the Shelby County Clerk's office, well, they should be pretty short. You know, if you don't mind waiting in the rain, you know, you can go out there. Pretty much everybody will pick another day to go get their tags renewed. So right now, you can maybe take advantage.
I cannot explain the long lines.
Hopefully in the county commission meeting today, I believe they're going to meet today, they will have an update from Wanda Halbert, the Shelby County clerk. I wonder if she's going to show up. We shall see. That's something else we'll be keeping our eye out for today in the Nation of Jake on NewsTalk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis. It is bowl season officially. The Memphis Tigers will play in the First Responders Bowl on December 27th against Utah State. That's going to happen. You'll hear it right here. The kickoff is 2:15 p.m., so around 10:15, they'll get the pregame programming started. I'm sure they'll have a special edition bowl special, a bowl edition of the Ryan Silverfield show at some point between now and then. So stay tuned for all the details on the bowl game here. You know, I was looking through all the other bowl games. You got the First Responders Bowl. The sponsors are really what you want to look at with these bowl games, because that's the most interesting part of a lot of these bowl games outside of the, you know, New Year's bowls and the college football playoff bowls. You got all these crazy sponsors. That's because the NC2A has relaxed some of the restrictions on the bowls. We'll talk about that coming up in a little bit. We'll also get into some local headlines, the Twitterverse, and we will play Name Drop. I've actually got some basketball tickets. That's right. The Memphis Tigers going to take on Texas A&M on December 17th, 6 p.m. at the FedEx Forum. I've got a couple of tickets for Name Drop. So 683-0989. That's the Rick's Powder Coating text line, as well as the phone line here in the East Memphis studios today, 901-683-0989. So plenty to talk about from the weekend. I hope your weekend was a good one. This week, again, a lot of rain, going to be wet. That's going to be top of mind for a lot of people. But the Twitter files is where we'll start today. All right. Over the weekend, look, on Friday, Elon Musk told us that he was going to drop the Twitter files on Twitter.
Elon.
He said he was going to do it at 4 p.m. on Friday. So what did we do? We hung out. We waited. We waited for the bombshell. He talked about how fun it was going to be. He had the popcorn, like, get ready for this, everybody. Here we go. We are going to get the suppression story, all the details on how the Hunter Biden laptop story from October of 2020 was suppressed. Who were the players? Who requested that it be shut down? Who complied with it? There was going to be all these details that came out, and then we waited and waited, and we didn't get it until well after the program concluded on Friday. So then it was up to you to go to the Twitter machine and find out, okay, when are these Twitter files going to drop? So Matt Taibbi, who used to be with Rolling Stone, he left Rolling Stone to start his own Substack. And I guess he has, like a huge staff over at his Substack. He has kind of created his own independent news organization over there. But being an independent journalist this day and age, it doesn't really work in your favor. So, look, as far as the Twitter files go, I did not dig really deep into what was there. Lucky for us, Bud, the producer, dug deep. He read all the tweets. He knows who all the players are. He can kind of give us a sense of the details of the dynamic of the Twitter files. Overall, Bud, my impression is that the Twitter files pretty much confirmed what we already knew. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, for the most part. There was a few other kind of surprising bits in there, but for the most part it was, we kind of saw it coming.
But was it bombshell worthy? Was it bombshell popcorn worthy? Was it one of those things where you saw it and were like, oh my God, smoking gun, caught him red-handed?
Maybe a little bit of light maniacal laughter.
Mm-hmm. Do some of that for me real quick. That's about that level. Right, I don't know. I just kind of checked out after the show, and I figured it would be covered by all of the media.
Oh, you'd think, right?
Yeah, you'd think something like that. That's a bombshell. Oh, this is how it happened. This is how it went down. Suppression, election interference. You would think that it would be carried all over the news, but it wasn't.
Not really.
Not really carried by anybody.
I don't know why he did it on a Friday night.
Yeah, it was news dump material. So we were all kind of. I was kind of underwhelmed, just in general, by just not that, the coverage. And then it became this whole attack on Matt Taibbi from his Substack. This fella, Matt Taibbi, just so you guys know, he used to be super liberal leftist Rolling Stone. That was the audience. That's what was expected of him, kind of like Glenn Kessler, who used to be a more mainstream journalist. I think he wrote for the Washington Post at one point. Those guys, they kind of went out on their own, in the spirit of free and independent media. But I think that overall, like if we want to get the 30,000-foot view on this Twitter files, and we'll get into the details of it in a little bit, overall, it just kind of shows what we already knew. We do not have a free and independent press in this country. You have the opportunity to do that kind of work. But overall, like the legacy media, there's no way you can call it free and independent, can you? Look, a press is not free if they are actively being influenced or, worse yet, coerced by, and I don't care if it's the federal government, politicians, campaigns of politicians, law enforcement comes in here because now we're hearing a lot of stories about the FBI coming out. Because even if the FBI, like when Mark Zuckerberg was on the Joe Rogan show, talking about the FBI giving him a heads up of some hacked material or Russian disinformation, when the FBI is coming at you and giving you essentially instructions on what's coming out and how you should proceed, they're not really asking you. You're not really free if the government is coercing you really in any way, or if they're even just asking. It's that whole dynamic of who has the power in that situation. So a press is not free if those forces are influencing it. A press is also not independent if it continually welcomes that influence. That's the bigger problem. That's where you get into collusion, and that's what a lot of people thought this was, and now we are seeing, well, yeah, it was. You've got politicians, and again, this is not like just Democrat stuff. This is elites, politicians. They don't want certain things. They want to help control the narrative, right? So they are asking, they are requesting, but a lot of times they're not asking, really, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, Twitter to take down tweets, call things misinformation, whatever it is. But really, where was the bombshell? We already knew all of really what was going on here. So what was the bombshell? No offense to Matt Taibbi, an actual independent journalist, but there was really no bombshell here. There's a lot of confirmation bias. People who believed that there was suppression of this story. You know, that it was big tech colluding with the Biden campaign. They look at it as like, see, vindicated. We were right. And then other people who say that, no, they were just trying to suppress the pornographic material. This doesn't prove anything. So, again, but going back to it, like the legacy media, how are they now treating independent journalists like Matt Taibbi? That's most of the stories that you're seeing. You didn't see a whole lot of what Matt Taibbi wrote. You see a lot of people saying things like, oh, well, what a fall from grace. You know, you once had this well-respected leftist Rolling Stone writer, Matt Taibbi. Now he's doing PR for the richest man in the world.
That was the line that kept getting repeated.
Correct.
It was the
bot line.
Yeah, the bot line.
Yeah. So, I mean, that was it. Like, everybody said, okay, here are the talking points. You know, just ad hominem attack on Matt Taibbi. He is, quote, running PR for the richest man in the world. But how is it running PR for Elon Musk? All of this stuff happened before Elon Musk bought Twitter. So how would that reflect on Elon Musk even a little bit? Like, what are you running cover for? Elon Musk didn't do this stuff.
Elon.
He's just trying to show you that how Twitter ran before is different than how it will be run henceforth. Like, it's not a situation where Elon Musk is somehow trying to get somebody like a Matt Taibbi or a Glenn Kessler or an actual independent journalist to make him look better. This has nothing to do with Elon Musk for once. Because I'd be fine if Elon Musk just kind of ducked out. You know, we could maybe talk about some other people. I don't know. So the Twitter files, what did you think? 683-0989. 683-0989. Was it a bombshell? What does it tell us? I don't think it really tells us anything other than what we already knew. Can it confirm some things? Were there some details? Bud is going to tell us about that. Bud, the producer, went all through it. We'll talk more about it coming up in a little bit. Also, oh, man, the ball game stuff. These bowl games, it's pretty amazing. Like, they've been able to sell these sponsorships in these bowl games, but there are a lot of outlets who do not want to give the free advertising to some of these sponsors. And it's pretty amazing how you actually have to dig to find out who's sponsoring these bowls. This is big money. Big money. There's like way more bowl games back when they made, hey, you get 6 wins, you're bowl eligible. How many bowl games are there? 40-something, maybe more? And they're all attached to all these sponsors. But you can't find them. It's insane. So I want to go through some of the bowl sponsors and also how they've loosened the restrictions on some of these sponsors. Has the NCAA. There's some sponsors that they couldn't court before. So we'll get into some of that as well. Again, we've got headlines. We've got what's trending in the Twitterverse. We'll play Name Drop. I got some Tigers tickets. Rick's Powder Coating text line wide open, 683-0989 on a rainy, the first of many rainy days coming our way this week right here in the Nation of Jake. All right, welcome back to the Nation of Jake, NewsTalk 98.9, the roar of Memphis, coming to you live from the East Memphis studios today.
Yes, have some.
Yes, indeed, have some. You know, I picked the days to come in because I'm in all week. We got like a birthday party, all the December birthdays, having cake tomorrow. So I told Courtney I would come in, and it's about time. I try to get into the studio every now and again. Of course, it's a day I have to take a boat. I have to get on an Noah's Ark to get to the station. Just rain. And I'm not a fan of it. Looks fine. You know, a rainy day here and there. But when you get a whole week, 2 to 5 inches coming our way, and of course, that's going to be a mess on the interstate and other surface roads here in Memphis because people cannot drive. So be very, very careful around here if you're getting about town. All right, so the Memphis Tigers are bowl eligible. As you know, 6 wins gets you into a bowl. Everybody gets to a bowl these days. Hell, during COVID, they had some 5-win teams in a bowl. That said, a lot of Tigers faithful are very excited about the Serve Pro First Responders Bowl. That's going to happen what we say, the 27th at 2:15 p.m. It's going to be Memphis versus Utah State. Now the big bowl games, the college football playoff. Well, you got 4 teams. You got Georgia is going to take on Ohio State, I believe, in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, and that's going to be December 31st, New Year's Eve. And then you've got the other 2 teams, Michigan and TCU. They're playing out in Arizona somewhere. But I've got all the bowls here. I've got all the bowls listed. And so I was looking through it, and it was very difficult to find all these bowls, just so you know. I mean, it's one of those deals where, they pay big money for the naming rights, but then a lot of the people who aren't getting the money, they like to suppress the sponsors of the bowl games. All right. So back in May, and I'd forgotten about this, the NCAA loosened the restrictions for bowl game sponsors. Because before, you couldn't have like a sports book. You couldn't have beer or spirits and any alcohol. You could not have as a title sponsor for a bowl game. You could not have any adult entertainment. They were not permitted before this year. So when I was looking up these bowl sponsors, I was hoping to find like the OnlyFans Bowl, which does not exist, unfortunately, or the Four Loko Bowl. Bud, do they still make Four Loko?
I don't know.
What's the other thing?
Probably. I haven't heard they have
What's the other thing, though? It's some sort of
White,
tea. Twisted tea?
Oh, Twisted Tea.
Is Twisted Tea a thing?
Last I heard about that was when that guy got hit in the head with a can of it.
Yeah, that was beautiful. That was great advertising for Twisted Tea, is the guy getting hit in the head with it.
Right? They just I can't imagine they would want to share it themselves.
No. And then I was thinking Mad Dog 2020 Bowl. What are some of the worst sponsors for these bowl games? I want to hear from you. 683-0989. 683-0989. I have some in mind. Some companies that say are in the news, some brands that maybe you wouldn't want to be associated with. Like, what would the worst bowl sponsors be, and who would play in that bowl? That'll be fun. We'll do that in a little bit. But I was actually looking, man, Jimmy Kimmel is sponsoring one of the bowls. The Jimmy Kimmel L.A. Bowl, December 17th. WSU, what is that? Is that Washington State? What is WSU? Versus Fresno State. So Jimmy Kimmel's L.A. Bowl. We've got the Wasabi Fenway Bowl. The Wasabi is a sushi place. Is that? I'm looking for any kind of like new ones. Let's see, the Cure Bowl. I guess that's a branded
like
bowl in Orlando. Yeah, I was thinking it'd be funny if like Robert Smith.
Yeah, because that one I might be interested in.
No, the Cure should play at the Cure Bowl, but it's a Duluth Trading Company sponsored bowl. They're down in Orlando, and I think that has connections with the Susan G. Komen Race for the Cure. Because I see that because there's a ribbon and there's pink everywhere.
I mean, I'm all for curing things.
Yes. Cured meats too. The Cricket Celebration Bowl, that's something. I don't even know where that is. The New Mexico Bowl, which I guess they don't have a sponsor. Some of these bowls are just called what they are. Like the Armed Forces Bowl is always the Armed Forces Bowl, but sometimes it's sponsored by Lockheed Martin and sometimes it's not. So this year it is. It's sponsored by Lockheed Martin. The Myrtle Beach Bowl is unsponsored, I guess. The famous Idaho Potato Bowl, as famous Idaho potatoes are the sponsor. And I'm looking for any of these. I guess nobody took advantage of any of the loosened restrictions, because I don't see the OnlyFans Bowl. I don't see the Four Loko Bowl or the Twisted Tea Bowl. I don't even see like a Bud Light Bowl. Usually you have a sponsor that kind of fits in with the name of the bowl. Like, what was it? The Tostitos Fiesta Bowl. That makes a lot of sense. That's a good marriage of sponsors with the name of a bowl. But now it's the Verbo Fiesta Bowl, or VRBO. One of the vacation, some of the beach rentals, Verbo. Let's see, what else do we have? I guess the Barstool Arizona Bowl. That's actually, I think, what started all this, is that Barstool Sports sponsored the Arizona Bowl, but they are owned by a sports book, by Penn National Gaming. So I guess now it's the schools and the conferences who get to, I guess, come up with their own guidelines, and I'm almost certain that none of them want to be associated with OnlyFans or Four Loko or anything like that. I did see this, the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl. I've never tried Cheez-Its with any citrus stuff. I figured that Cheez-Its and orange juice would probably not be a good mix.
That sounds gross.
Yeah. All right, we'll get back into the news with the Twitter files. Bud went through the Twitter files. We'll get into some specifics. What's in these Twitter files?
Yes, have some.
All right, welcome back to the Nation of Jake. News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis. 53 degrees and rainy, so it's not that cold. It's not like bitter cold, except the rain makes it very difficult to stay warm. All right, I came in. I was just outside between my truck and the station. I have not been back outside since, but I have not been able to really warm up at all. It's kind of cold in here. I noticed that Bud, the producer, has put on his red hooded sweatshirt for our time together in the studios here, our East Memphis Radio Ranch. But how much coffee did you drink today trying to warm up, Bud?
None.
None?
I was working all morning, man.
Oh, man, the coffee here is free, and it's not that bad.
I was pulling cables all morning.
Oh, yeah? Yeah, better than laying cables. All right. Bud, the producer's here, so anything you got for us, 683-0989. That's 901-683-0989. So on Friday, they had the whole Twitter files thing. You know, we were waiting, 4 p.m. on Friday. Elon Musk says, coming up right here on Twitter at 4 p.m., 5 p.m. Eastern, we're going to release the Twitter files, the entire story of how the Hunter Biden laptop was suppressed back in October of 2020. A lot of people believe that that could have been what turned that election around. Well, let's just say that the suppression of it protected Joe Biden, because all the things on the laptop, like that people don't talk about, like all the emails about the 10% for the big guy, all that stuff was just dismissed as Russian disinformation. The New York Post, which broke the story, was unable to tweet the story. So it could have been consequential, and a lot of people think that it was. But even so, like even if you don't believe that it would have made a difference, you still have to look into how big tech colludes with legacy media and the government or politicians. Like how are we to trust anything? The process, any facts, anything, if it is continually laundered through this system, that really there's no accountability. And I think that that's more the big picture kind of thing. Now, look, I get it. Like, we do this every day in the Nation of Jake. If you listen, you probably are the kind of person who pays attention to this stuff. And you probably have your own opinions on it. You've probably gone through some of it, at least to a degree. But there are a lot of people who do not, like regular people. So I was thinking, look, if you're just like some regular rando person who really just hears things, you don't really actively watch the news, you just kind of hear about stuff, and you rely on somebody to kind of filter it and curate it for you. I know a lot of people like that. So I wanted to kind of see how the media was explaining this to people. So I looked up Yahoo News, because I figured that was just a mainstream. If somebody was curious about the Twitter files, I'm hearing about the Twitter files, and they just go to the Google machine, what would come up? Well, I found it. All right, so I wanted to go through how an outlet like Yahoo News would cover this before we get into some of the specifics with Bud, the producer here. So what are the Twitter files? It says at Yahoo News, and this is the explanation. Twitter's decision to bury the Hunter Biden laptop story became a scandal on the political right, and new Twitter CEO Elon Musk had promised an accounting of Twitter's controversial decision. Enter the Twitter files, named in the fashion of a Facebook whistleblower's leaked documents. Musk first teased the release late in the day Friday, promising exclusive details of what really happened with Hunter Biden. This will be awesome, he promised, punctuating the tweet with a popcorn emoji. And I think that's where he oversold it, by the way. I think that's it. It's like when you have a popcorn emoji, like, sit back, this is going to be a show, then what are you expecting? You're expecting something big, bombshell type stuff. Earth shaking. This is going to be everywhere. This is a saga. This points to wrongdoing on the highest level. But then when you got it, you were like, oh, is that it? Now, 3 hours after Elon Musk announced that it would be released at 4 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Eastern, 3 hours later. So he was late. It was done through journalist Matt Taibbi. He kicked off a long thread of more than 36 tweets based on internal Twitter documents that revealed what he described as a Frankensteinian tale of a human-built mechanism grown out the control of its designer. To Musk, this release clears a dark cloud hanging over Twitter as he works to mold Twitter in his image, cleansing and redirecting both its public perception and internal culture. It is possible that the CEO himself handed the documents to Taibbi, but we do not know that for sure. He gave them access. I think that he gave multiple journalists access. Musk did hype the document dump ahead of and during its publication, but Taibbi cited only, quote, internal sources. In the thread, Taibbi shares screenshots from emails showing Twitter executives discussing the Post story, the New York Post story of the Hunter Biden laptop, and making efforts to block its distribution on the social network. The emails, Taibbi says, show the extraordinary steps Twitter took to suppress the story. Now, the most damning quote, and Bud the producer can either confirm or disagree, the most damning quote within the files comes from an executive who discussed the decision as it unfolded. Twitter communications chief Brandon Borman. He asked in an email, "Can we truthfully claim that this is part of the policy?" The story was so outlandish as to seem impossible. It seemed it could not have arisen from anything but a hack, or could it? And could Twitter, which ex-CEO Dick Costolo called the free speech wing of the free speech party, defend censoring a news story, whatever its provenance? So, because they cited this hacked materials rule, and they said we have it's a policy against hacked materials, and therefore we cannot release this, even though they had no problem publishing all those, what was it, ProPublica leaks about tax returns. You know, they had Jeff Bezos and Warren Buffett and Donald Trump. They had no problem releasing those types of leaked or hacked documents. So really, I don't think that holds up even a little bit. Now, Bud the producer, you went through the entire thread. You read all the screenshots of emails. Who were the main decision makers here? At the time, as I recall, and correct me if I'm wrong, Bud, Jack Dorsey was the CEO of Twitter at the time.
And there's evidence in here that they basically hid it from him. They kept a lot of, especially the Hunter Biden stuff, they kept it from him, and it was kind of the buck stopped with Vijaya Gad, the legal, I forget her exact position, but
she was the safety security. Yeah. She was the attorney. She was on the Joe Rogan show at one point talking about the curation. She was the one who essentially was making that executive decision. Right.
She's the one who holds the responsibility at the end, because she was the highest ranking person there to have dealt with this. But the entire thread basically splits into two parts. The first half of it is him kind of explaining how it went from Twitter as it was when it first started to suppression and blocking and all that. And then it goes into the Hunter Biden stuff after that. But there's a couple tweets here I think are really good out of the first half, where he said, in its early conception, Twitter more than lived up to its mission statement, giving the people the power to create and share ideas and information instantly without barriers. As time progressed, however, the company was slowly forced to add barriers. Some of the first tools for controlling speech were designed to combat the likes of spam, financial fraudsters, child exploitation. Slowly over time, Twitter staff and executives began to find more and more uses for these tools. Outsiders began petitioning the company to manipulate speech as well. First a little, then more, and then constantly. And another thing in here, this is the closest thing I would say there maybe is to a bombshell, or this is more of like oh damn. The right had access to this too. They could suppress things too, just in an order of magnitude much smaller than the left. So that was mostly because of the bent of the willing to accommodate those requests, and it was all who you knew. It was all who you could contact at Twitter to suppress things for you. And on the right, they had some access, but again, not as much as on the left. It's just really imbalanced.
Right.
Like
so, I mean,
98
it's
to 2.
essentially like, hey, who do you know at Twitter who was on our side?
Right.
Like, who do you know with any influence within the company? It's not Jack Dorsey. That guy's out, eating shrooms on a vision quest in the Pacific Northwest. That guy, that hippie, he just owns the place, and he has let people run it. And, of course, people individually, they have agendas, and they realize how powerful their decision-making is. It's like, wait a second. I've got people. I mean, who are these people who are sending these emails? I mean, these are people with
the political staffers.
Right. Biden's communications director of the Biden campaign during this, historic election against Donald Trump. And so, look, when you do favors for people like that, you gain power. I mean, you realize, wow, this is a good position to be in.
And if they've been saying that they would take bribes, there was evidence they were taking bribes to give people check marks back when you couldn't pay $8 for them. Who's to say they weren't taking bribes for this stuff?
Well, yeah. I mean, what kind of stuff were they asking? Like outside of a Hunter Biden laptop story, which is obviously the center of this, obviously the biggest, highest profile suppression. What other kinds of things were being shut down, and how would they go about it? They just fire off an email. Hey, here's a tweet I don't like. Take it down.
Yeah, pretty much. Or sandbox it, or shadow ban it. Shadow banning was usually the tool, because that was hard to notice when something was being shadow banned.
Right.
So that was more common. But like there are a couple of these. There's images of where's the example where it's like, hey, we got another from the Biden team. Can we get these dealt with? And the guy responds with already handled. And it was actually a bunch of naked photos of Hunter. Like I get why taking that down, but there was a bunch of others that they like people talking about this. But one of the biggest things here too with the Hunter Biden story is they were even deleting people's direct messages, which is a tool they would only use for child pornography. They would only go after people's direct messages for that.
Well, the problem I have with most of this, I've got no problem if somebody says, hey, take down those naked pictures of Hunter Biden. That's inappropriate. It violates terms of service for revenge porn or whatever it is. It's inappropriate. I get that. The problem I have with all of it is by suppressing the story, calling it Russian disinformation and not letting it out, you kind of give ammunition to those in the legacy media who were calling it that. In the Biden campaign, they were calling it that. They were saying there's nothing to this. Obviously, this is Russian disinformation. And now we're getting a report here that the FBI was all over this early on. Check this out. This is from the New York Post, and they're very much in the center of all this. The FBI warned Twitter during weekly meetings of Hunter Biden hack and leak operation before censoring the New York Post story. The FBI warned Twitter during weekly meetings before the 2020 election to expect a hack and leak operation by state actors involving Hunter Biden, and likely in October, according to a sworn declaration by Twitter's former head of the site integrity, Yoel Roth. The warnings were so specific that Twitter immediately censored the Post scoop about Hunter Biden's laptop on October 14th, 2020, citing its hacked materials policy, a move described on Saturday as election interference by Twitter's new owner, Elon Musk. And this goes back to what I was saying before. If the FBI, during weekly meetings, is telling you essentially that there is something coming out and you are going to shut it down, you're not really being asked, because the FBI is a federal law enforcement agency.
Sort of like asking without, or telling in the form of asking.
Yeah. I mean, there's a power imbalance there. When law enforcement asks you to do something, even if they truly are asking you to do it and you don't have to do it, you still feel like you have to do it. I mean, there's a certain amount of coercion there.
And at that point, doesn't the First Amendment not protect you anymore? once the government's getting involved and they're the ones saying to suppress this speech and whatnot.
Well, we talk about the First Amendment implications of Twitter and it being a private company, and people always want to say, and myself included, this has nothing to do with the First Amendment because the government is not in play here. And that would be true if, say, Twitter wanted to kick you off the platform for, posting swastikas or being an anti-Semite or harassing and bullying. That's one thing. But when the government, the FBI, is having weekly meetings and they are all but telling you that you are going to suppress this. This is a story that's coming out. It's a hack and a leak. Well, they're lying. It's not a hack or a leak. Yeah, I mean, does it qualify as a hack or a leak? And also, how do you square that with all the other stories that have come out? Like whenever there's leaked memos, materials that are the basis for many news stories from NBC, CNN, this ProPublica has released people's tax returns. Those are private. Somebody within the IRS has been releasing people's tax returns or portions of them, and then those in turn get published and they get tweeted out and they never get taken down. So you have to look at it, and it doesn't really take a sleuth. It doesn't take Sherlock Holmes to figure out that, well, of course, this was suppressed because it could have hurt Joe Biden's election in the campaign. And so there were, like you're describing, Bud, you've gone through it. There are people who are just cashing in favors. And if you've got enough friends on the inside who see things your way, who see things with that same political lens, then, yeah, you're going to get what you want.
I think what I don't like about this situation is the fact that, they suppressed it, and the people internally, there were employees saying this is wrong, we shouldn't be doing this, and they said, man, well, let's just keep doing it.
Yeah, we'll do it anyway.
We just got to ride this out,
right?
Because it's almost got 20 more days till the election,
right? And what are they going to do with this anyway? And they could not foresee that Elon Musk would buy the website and then tell the world what they did.
Right.
That's the wild card there. They could not have foreseen that. So I mean that's really it with the Twitter files. I think that there's more to come. I think that
Elon, an appetizer.
Yeah, Elon Musk because there was a lot of things. If now we've got guys like Nick Sandmann, the young man who was slandered and threatened after that incident with the Native American guy, the smirking kid, if you recall, from Covington, Kentucky. Also, Kyle Rittenhouse. He's come out and he's asking Elon Musk to release any and all correspondence about his case. So,
and think about this, man. If you're Elon Musk, you want people on Twitter frequently. You don't give it all up at once. You dole it out bit by bit, so people keep showing up to the website.
Yeah, you got to tease them, and get them back, get them coming back. So I don't know. I don't know if that's it, but it's definitely an angle worth exploring. 683-0989, 683-0989 is the Rick's Powder Coating text line. What do you think would be like the worst bowl sponsors? The worst ones. I asked you this earlier. I've got a few ideas of the worst possible bowl game sponsors. We'll get into that next right here in the Nation of Jake. All right, welcome back to the Nation of Jake, News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis. 683-0989, 683-0989. That's the Rick's Powder Coating text line. The Memphis Football Tigers are bowl bound. They will be playing in Dallas at the First Responders Bowl on December 27th against Utah State. Kickoff is at 2:15. Pre-game programming will be right here at around 10:15 a.m. that day. So make your plans a couple days after Christmas to listen to the First Responders Bowl with the Memphis Tigers. 6 wins gets you into a bowl game. Now, the big bowl games, the college football playoff, the 4 teams involved here. The University of Georgia Bulldogs will play against The Ohio State University. That's going to happen in Atlanta at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. I guess they call that the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. And I think the Peach Bowl because it's in Atlanta, Chick-fil-A because they are the big sponsor, Atlanta-based Chick-fil-A. The other one is this one in Arizona. I don't even know what it's called. It's going to be in Glendale, Arizona. That's a Fiesta Bowl. That's the VRBO Fiesta Bowl. Used to be like the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl. Now, I was asking you guys at 683-0989, 683-0989, what would be some of the worst sponsors for these bowl games? Bud, what are people saying on the Rick's Powder Coating text line?
Oh, we had Brad call in. He said the Trojan Bowl.
Oh, yeah. Well, I guess whatever USC is playing
Aren't
in.
there like teams named the Trojans?
Yeah, USC. Yeah, Southern California. They are the Trojans, but I believe that Brad was talking about the prophylactic, the Trojans. Gotcha. What else we got?
Walden says the Pornhub Bowl.
The Pornhub Bowl. I wonder if they could do that. I know it's up to the conferences now. The NCAA has loosened restrictions on it. It used to be where they couldn't have beer or spirits or sports books or adult entertainment. I think maybe OnlyFans or Pornhub Bowl. I don't think that would be a good business decision.
I don't know how much money do they have.
It's true. It's true. It's all about money.
T. Roy texted in with the Shake Weight Bowl.
Oh, yeah. A little resurgence
good.
of the shake weight. That's some serious coinage to be hawking your shake weights. I'm thinking this. The FTX Bowl would probably be one of the worst. You couldn't do the FTX Bowl right now. How about the Balenciaga Bowl? You could have that between Penn State and Baylor.
Well, that'd be awkward.
Yeah, it would. How about this one? The Shelby County Clerk Bowl. To be played on 12/27 or the 29th or the 1st of January, or just whenever. The Wanda Bowl, you want to get in line for tickets early for that one. Local headlines coming your way next right here in the Nation of Jake.
Jake, where'd you get those boots?
But he's got meat between his ears.
The Nation of Jake on News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis.
All right, welcome back to it.
Yes, have some.
And the Nation of Jake, News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis, hour number 2 on this rainy Monday, December the 5th. Yeah, rain 2 to 5 inches this week. That means, look, you got to be very careful on the roads, but also, making sure that storm drains are not obstructed. You don't want any problems, man. People, we read about it all the time. They give backups and sewage backups. Memphis Public Works, they're all over it, and I'm sure all throughout the area. Just keeping your eye on stuff. Look, rain never hurt anybody, but MLGW has had problems with, severe weather and rain. You get waterlogged branches, they fall on a transformer, and then you hear a big boom and a blast, and then you're out of power for a day or two. No good. Looking at the outage map right now, seems like everybody's pretty good. I think the number of outages is at 9. Customers affected, 10. So I guess Doug McGowan, the president and CEO of MLG&W, I'm not sure if he has taken over just yet, but things will be going all right there with the old power grid. We'll keep our eye on the skies. More rain. Rain's cloudy. It's kind of cold, hard to get warm. I've been drinking a bunch of the free coffee that Mr. Bohannon provides for us here at the Radio Ranch in an attempt to keep warm on this cold, kind of rainy, wet, festering, bush-like boil of an afternoon here in Memphis, and that's my way of doing it. Maybe I just should have worn some more layers. Then I would have gotten too hot and stank, and we don't want that. I see Bud has shed his red-headed sweatshirt, or red-hooded sweatshirt. You get a little warm in here, huh, Bud?
Yeah, once the air goes off, it starts to warm up a bit. There's all this equipment behind me here.
Also, a lot of hot air being blown around here this day with
Source
me
unknown
in studio. All right. So, look, we can keep some stuff going on the Rick's Powder Coating text line this hour. The worst bowl sponsors. I had some ideas. I think the FTX Bowl would be a pretty bad move right now, considering that they are bankrupt and likely a scam. And we'll hear more about that from Sam Bankfraud coming up next week when he's in front of Congress. But, yeah, who would play in the FTX Bowl? I guess you would have to couple of scam colleges, huh? Maybe a scam or bankrupt college. Let's see, University of Phoenix versus ITT Tech in the FTX Bowl. The Balenciaga Bowl. Balenciaga is a brand. I guess they make clothing. Those guys are under fire for featuring S&M bondage gear with kids. Kind of a pedo kind of thing going on. So, in the Balenciaga Bowl, if they were to sponsor one, you'd have Penn State, maybe Baylor, maybe a couple of schools steeped in controversy. The Pfizer and BioNTech Bowl. That's a virtual event. You can't even go to that one. You'll get COVID. Then, of course, the Shelby County Clerk Bowl. I was just saying, hey, they could sponsor a bowl. It could be played on December 26th, 27th, 29th, January 1st. They'll let you know when they play the bowl game. Jay on the Rick's Powder Coating text line says that the Shelby County Clerks Bowl, or as we refer to it, the Wanda Bowl, would have to be played in Jamaica, Mon. And yes, Jay, yes. All right, so what do we have here? Oh, we got some local headlines. Let's get into them real quick here in the Nation of Jake. MLGW, the aforementioned public utility, their outage hotline is down. So you can't report an outage. Right now, there's not a lot of outages. But when you've got 2 to 5 inches of rain coming through with storms that brings wind and all kinds of problems, it's probably not ideal to have your outage hotline down. Now, the company is asking customers to report outages using the MLGW My Account link on the My Account app. So if your power is out, get on the compute, get on the internet, and maybe on your phone, you can do it with the app. To report an outage online or through the app, MLGW said customers will need to enter their 16-digit account number and their account access code. So make sure you have that stuff. Yeah, and make it very convenient. It was very simple to make the phone call to the outage line, but that's down, so make sure you have your 16-digit account number and your access code available. Do you know those things? I mean, you would have to go hunt down your bill, I guess, and find it. To report an outage through the My Account link or on the My Account app, you got to sign into your account. I would just rather drive over to the offices and tell them my power's out than to go try to track down all that stuff. And especially if my power's out, I don't have the interwebs. If my power's out, my computer's not on. All right. Here we go. We've got some news from last week. We told you that the South Haven Walmart shooter, Martez Abram, was found guilty. He admitted in court what he had done. It was on video. Now we've got an update here. The man accused in the deadly shooting in South Haven, Mississippi at the Walmart has been sentenced to death. Martez Abram, the man accused and now convicted in the deadly shooting in a South Haven, Mississippi Walmart back in 2019, was found guilty of 2 counts of capital murder and 1 count of attempted murder. 2 Walmart employees, 38-year-old Brandon Gales and 48-year-old Anthony Brown, were killed in the shooting. A police officer was also shot but survived. Video from inside the courtroom shows Abram holding his head and trying to look away as he watched what seemed to be a video of the atrocious events. When Abram was asked if he was the person in the video, if he shot the victims, he said yes. And a jury has decided that he will be sentenced to die. But it's not going to happen for a while. It will not happen for decades, because that's one of the problems with the death penalty is that appeals. Guys stay alive for 30 or 40 years. They get a stay of execution. Because we hesitate to kill our own citizens. We don't want the government to do that. In a perfect world, they wouldn't have to, and that's one of the changes I would make to the death penalty. And I've said this before. I don't love the death penalty. I don't love the idea of the government killing its own citizens. But then again, I really go back and look at the things that a lot of these folks on death row have done, and there's really no place for them on the earth anymore. We talk about prison overcrowding. It might be best if you just weren't alive anymore, if you get pardoned from life, so to speak. But I think 2 things have to happen here. You have to raise the bar beyond a reasonable doubt to clear and convincing evidence. You cannot be mistaken. If somebody is sentenced to death, they have to be the person who did it. There cannot be any doubt. So the evidence should be raised to the level of clear and convincing evidence, and then you have to, make it happen, right then. You are sentenced to die. Your execution date is actually today at 5 p.m. in the town square, where you'll be hanged or shot or stabbed or however the most I think, the most efficient way. I mean, humane is that's a good thing to strive for, but what's the most efficient way to rid the earth of this person if we have decided as society they don't belong here anymore? That's the latest on the South Haven Walmart shooting. Oh, now we've got some other shenanigans going on. A woman attacked Memphis police during an investigation into the shooting of 2 teens. All right, a woman was arrested for allegedly attacking a Memphis police officer while they were investigating the shooting. It happened on Sunday, December 4th, around 3:15 p.m. MPD responded to a shooting at the intersection of Getwell and Cochise near Getwell Elementary School. Police found a 16-year-old and a 17-year-old shot. Both were taken to Le Bonheur, one in critical condition and the other in non-critical condition. When police were at the scene, a woman identified as Lakeisha Shorter flagged officers down about a verbal argument between her 2 sons. An officer went into the home there on Cochise Road and began talking with one of her sons. Her son became irate. The officer called for backup. When the officer attempted to detain the boy, another boy jumped on the officer's back and began punching him. The first child also began hitting the officer. So this officer, hey, I see a mother in distress. She says that her kids are fighting. She wants some resolution. So you go into a situation, and then her kids start beating you up. MPD said the boys both began hitting and punching all the responding officers. That's when Shorter allegedly joined in, pushing and swinging at officers as well. And at this point, if you're an officer, you're saying, lady, you called me over here. You called me over here because your kids are unruly and incorrigible. And so here I am now in your house. It's like the record scratch. If you're one of these MPD guys, it stops. You're probably wondering how I got in this situation. You're just responding to a mom who needed help with these unruly boys. And now she starts beating up the cops. Unreal. She's charged with 6 counts of assault on a first responder. And she has been transferred to Jail East. I think that's the ladies' jail. We got 3 brothers now charged in a deadly shooting in Fraser. 3 brothers have been charged in a shooting that took the life of a man over the weekend. Detectives have arrested Jalen Alexavier and Artavius Williamson in the shooting death of Christopher Kane. Police say this all happened after Kane got into an argument with Artavius. Artavius came back later in the evening after the argument with his 2 brothers and challenged Kane to a fight. What, a 3-on-1 fight? A witness told detectives that when Kane went to open the door to his apartment, Jalen shot him in the chest. That doesn't seem like a fair fight. Kane was rushed to the hospital where he died from his injuries. Security video, there's always security video these days, shows the trio arriving and leaving together. Police were able to identify the brothers as suspects in a photo lineup shown to the witness. Jalen Williamson is charged with murder, while the other 2 are charged with attempted murder. There's a few other things that are breaking at this hour. There was some sort of situation down in Marshall County where I believe that the authorities trying to arrest a man who was on the loose there. Here we go. Authorities in Marshall County were attempting to arrest a suspect on the Mississippi's most wanted list. The man is wanted for child exploitation and assault. So I guess they followed him to a residence, and that's where the suspect has died now from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. So you can close the book on that case and a few others. I guess the weather is causing all kind of havoc on the street. A Memphis man has been killed by a semi-truck in Arkansas. It happened on I-40 near Forest City. So that we have a fatality, a traffic fatality out there on the interstate. So again, look, it's wet, it's raining. You got to be careful. Leave yourself plenty of space. And let's see. Turning to a quick sports note. This is exciting. All right. I like this for this young man. Ja Morant is going to get his own shoe in a deal with Nike. Nike, I believe, is down a man. I believe that Kyrie Irving of the Brooklyn Nets is no longer doing business with Nike. He has been dropped by Nike. But now we've got reports of a Ja Morant becoming the next Nike athlete to get his own signature shoe began over the summer, but now the Grizzlies superstar has moved closer to having them on his feet. This is from Drew Hill over at the Daily Memphian. The Athletic reported on Monday that Nike had officially split with Nets point guard Kyrie Irving, who had his own signature shoe deal. Shortly after that, it was reported that Morant would be the next to get his own signature sneaker. Morant visited the Nike World headquarters back in August. Several members of Morant's personal team posted from the Oregon social media, from Oregon on social media. In addition, Nike has been issued a casting call for a commercial with multiple filming dates next week that features a Morant body double. Why do you need a body double? Morant was all. Who can do the things Ja Morant can do? Nobody. Nobody can do what he can do. So how are they going to do it? I guess maybe just a stand-in, maybe to wear the shoe. Morant was also featured in a Nike commercial his rookie season for the Nike Adapt 2.0 basketball sneaker. Right now, he wears Kevin Durant and Kobe Bryant signature shoes. But soon, Ja Morant will have his own, man. He'll be right in line. You think about the Nike shoes, the signature shoes. You know, the Jordans. You know, I guess Kobe had his own. Penny Hardaway with the foam posits. I mean, that's a huge deal, having your own shoe from Nike. So that's good news for the young man, Ja Morant. All right, 683-0989, 683-0989. That is the Rick's Powder Coating text line. Hey, coming up, looks like Time Magazine is released the finalists for their Person of the Year. The Person of the Year will be unveiled on Wednesday, but they have narrowed it down. Do they usually do this? Do they usually let you know, like give you a list of who may be the Person of the Year before? Maybe this is new, I think, this pared down list. I want to tell you who's on the list, but I also want to ask you, who would be the Memphis Person of the Year? Now, we're getting to the end of the year where you're going to see a lot of end-of-year lists. So why don't we put that on the table there on the Rick's Powder Coating text line? Who would be Memphis's Person of the Year? We'll do that next right here in the Nation of Jake. All right, welcome back to the Nation of Jake, News Talk 98.9, the Roar of Memphis. And it says here, there are finalists now for Time's Person of the Year. Before we get into that, let's talk about who was Memphis's Person of the Year. 683-0989, 683-0989. I got a few ideas of who would be the Person of the Year in Memphis. And you could go with King Mulroy. Yeah, you could go with King Steve Mulroy, the DA of Memphis. He's going to change the way that criminal justice is approached throughout Shelby County. You could go with, of course, I think Wanda Halbert, Shelby County Clerk. Who has gotten the most ink in Memphis this year? That's really it. This is not somebody that you admire necessarily, but somebody who is consequential. So, instead of just going with the, national Time Magazine's Person of the Year, we could maybe start that conversation right now. 683-0989. Who is the Memphis Person of the Year? Oh, maybe somebody, I'm thinking Mulroy or Wanda as far as biggest names in the news. I'm sure there are others that I'm not thinking of. It's been a long year. At it? All right, but as far as Time Magazine goes, here we have it. Liz Cheney, Ron DeSantis, and Elon Musk are among the finalists for Time's Person of the Year. This is more of a recognition than a reward. I don't think there's a cash prize. It's a distinction. Time announced Monday it was narrowing down its 2022 Person of the Year candidates in an attempt to create buzz around the 95-year-old award, with finalists including anti-Trump Republican Representative Liz Cheney, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, and Twitter CEO Elon Musk. Among the other contenders for the world's most influential person, I guess that's what they're calling it. Is that what the Person of the Year is? Most influential person? You've got Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen. Who has she influenced? Janet Yellen is not influencing anybody. Why would she be the Person of the Year? Chinese President Xi Jinping and Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky. I could see why. Volodymyr Zelensky, not necessarily on the influence part, but he's definitely somebody who has been in the news. He's been very visible. I mean, everybody in Hollywood, well, Ben Stiller and Sean Penn, they all want to go over to Ukraine to meet with him. And didn't he get an Oscar or a Emmy or something? Cheney became a media star this year with her work on the January 6th House Select Committee, becoming the most high-profile Republican in Congress to speak out against former President Trump. She was soundly defeated in her primary race by Republican Harriet Hageman, who went to be easily reelected as Wyoming's lone U.S. representative. Musk also has a shot of becoming the Time Person of the Year, the second time in a row. Franklin D. Roosevelt is the only person who has been nominated Person of the Year 3 times. Other finalists include gun control advocates, the Supreme Court, and protesters in Iran. Yeah, sometimes they'll do that. Sometimes they cop out and they give the Person of the Year to a type of person or a group of people, which I think is stupid. DeSantis, reelected as Florida's governor in a landslide last month, is widely viewed as a possible 2024 contender and challenger to Trump. Trump has already announced his third bid for the White House. Previous winners of the award have been controversial on the right and the left. Time named President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris its Person of the Year in 2020, which makes no sense. However, Musk's 2021 victory as Time's Person of the Year elicited a harsh reaction from progressives, with one Democratic advisor saying that choosing Musk was an absolute disgrace. Oh, I still think it's got to be Elon Musk, doesn't it? I mean, if you're being honest about the award, he should repeat. Speaking of, let's get into the Twitter first. Elon owns it. We'll do it next.
Hi guys, it's Andrew with River Ridge Medical Clinic. Are you struggling with erectile dysfunction and sick of the pills? Well, we now have a major medical breakthrough that has helped thousands of men. The wave technology at River Ridge Medical uses gentle pressure waves to repair and open up blood vessels. We have 60 clinical studies, including from Cambridge University, showing our technology treats the root cause problem of erectile dysfunction. No pills and no side effects, just more blood flow in the bedroom. If you're ready to put a stop to your ED and regain your love life, grab your phone and call us now. You'll qualify for the assessment, the exam, even the blood flow ultrasound totally free. And to the first 10 callers now, you'll get a gift that can produce immediate results in the bedroom. You're going to love that. This is a $650 value, free to callers right now. 901-672-2000. That's 901-672-2000. Guys, put a stop to your erectile dysfunction by treating the root cause. Call River Ridge Medical Clinic now to qualify. 901-672-2000.
All right, welcome back to the Nation of Jake. News Talk 98.9, the Roar of Memphis.
Yes, have some.
All right, 683-0989, 683-0989. That is the Rick's Powder Coating text line. Taking your texts on a couple of things. The worst bowl sponsors. You know, Memphis is going to a bowl game. That's great. They unveiled all the bowl matchups yesterday, including the college football playoff. Memphis is going to the Serve Pro First Responders Bowl. Going to play Utah State. That's happening December 27th at 2:15 p.m. is the kickoff. We will have it for you right here on News Talk 98.9, the Roar of Memphis. And that's a fine one. The Serve Pro First Responders Bowl. There's nothing that is controversial about it. It's fine. It's going to be in Dallas, so I'm sure there'll be a lot of people going to pack up a couple days after Christmas and head out to Dallas, stop at Buc-ee's, and have a great time. But there have been these bowl games and the sponsors just very odd. We'll get into more of them, but I wanted to see what would be the worst sponsors. The NCAA is leaving it up to the conferences to get their own sponsors. They used to restrict it. They said, look, no gambling sponsors, no beers or spirits, no adult entertainment. So I was wondering who was going to be the first bowl to kind of push the envelope a little bit, you know, do something controversial. I think the most controversial remains the Duke's Mayonnaise Bowl. Because, I mean, you just think about that. I mean, think about the gift bag these players get at the Duke's Mayonnaise Bowl. And that's a good sponsorship because it's just known as the Duke's Mayonnaise Bowl. So I wanted to hear from you, what are the worst bowl sponsors? The other thing is you got Times Person of the Year will be unveiled on Wednesday. Elon Musk is up for it. Liz Cheney is up for it. Ron DeSantis et al. But I wanted to talk about who should be the Memphis Person of the Year. Who has been in the news the most throughout the year? This is, Mayor Jim Strickland's final year in office. He will no longer be mayor after 2023. So maybe it was Mayor Jim Strickland. We've talked about Steve Mulroy, the new DA, with a new philosophy on criminal justice in Shelby County. Who else? Who else could it be? I mean, Wanda Halbert, Shelby County clerk, who has been the subject of a lot of derision for her ineptitude and her failure to run the clerk's office where all her predecessors had no problems. I mean, now you've got a new clerk's office location that's supposed to be open at the end of October, and that got pushed to the end of November, 1st of December, and here we are on December 5th, and there's still no Riverdale location. Maybe she could sponsor one of these bowls, the Shelby County Clerks Bowl, held in Jamaica every year, the Wanda Bowl. Just not sure when it's going to be. It could be any day. We'll let you know when it is. So 683-0989. Those are the things that we're talking about on the Rick's Powder Coating text line. We'll get back to your texts in just a little bit. Right now, we need to rack up what we're finding in the Twitterverse.
Masters of the Twitterverse!
These are viral stories, viral videos, trending topics, news stories, breaking news as it happens. It all happens on the old Twitter machine. You can follow the program on Twitter at Nation of Jake. That is the official Twitter handle of the Nation of Jake on NewsTalk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis. You can also follow NewsTalk 98.9 if you want to follow the radio station. But the producer is along for the ride. He's got a lot of stuff from the Twitterverse today. I guess one thing that is being talked about on Twitter are the old Twitter files. They were dropped on Friday evening. Hell, it was Friday night by the time that Elon Musk and Matt Taibbi were able to get these Twitter files out. And I guess really a lot of people are just arguing over how important they are. I mean, it's just more confirmation bias. You get on Twitter and you look at the Twitter files. You look at how many tweets were in that thread by Matt Taibbi, bud? 36?
There's 33 that are like numbered, and then there was a couple of in-betweens, so 37, 40, somewhere in there.
Elon Musk said it was going to be a bombshell. Now, he said it was going to be, popcorn worthy with his popcorn emoji.
Elon.
But I think it just really confirms what we already knew. I mean, there were those within Twitter who were accommodating to the Biden administration. And so they shut down this New York Post story about the Hunter Biden laptop. I mean, that's essentially the story, and we already knew it. But I guess there is some value in knowing how it all went down. It seems like there wasn't a huge coordinated, concerted effort. I guess it was a lack of policy that is what allowed individuals within Twitter to accommodate the Biden campaign. Is that fair to say, Bud?
And they had so many people on the curation teams that it seems like a lack of oversight.
Right.
But again, this is a big one that kind of caught the attention of the higher ups. There's probably a lot of other minor stuff here and there that just kind of slipped through the cracks, or there's no record of.
Yeah, I mean, that's just it. It's like, this is all the stuff that was on record. There could have been phone calls made. I mean, phone calls that weren't recorded. Somebody who didn't want to send an email and put it in writing.
Right. And I think what really set this one aside, the Hunter Biden laptop story, was they suppressed a news outlet. It was an actual, the New York Post. They suppressed them. It wasn't a couple of guys tweeting some images they found or something like that. It was straight up a news, new news outlet.
Yeah, well, there's that, and the fact that now we're hearing all these reports about the FBI got involved.
Right.
And the FBI was having weekly meetings with Twitter about content. And they said there's going to be a hack and leak situation regarding Hunter Biden. We heard Mark Zuckerberg of Meta, then Facebook. He said to Joe Rogan, the FBI came to him and said there's going to be something coming out. It's going to be some disinformation. But the thing is, it wasn't disinformation. It was 100% authentic. And again, I go back to the whole policy on hacked or leaked materials or whatever it is, hacked materials. Twitter has never throttled a story, suppressed, taken down, full on deleted an account or banned an account for hacked materials before that one. So you have to look at what was special about that story, that hacked material, as well who stood to gain by that story being suppressed. And then you have this now, so you can kind of see how Twitter was being run versus how it's being run now by Elon Musk, or at least that's how Elon would have you believe. So a couple of characters on Twitter have been really prominent lately. I mean, not just Elon Musk, the owner of Twitter, but Kanye West. So when these two intersect, I mean, now there's big beef going on. Last week, Kanye West decided just to go goblin mode on Twitter and start saying all kinds of anti-Semitic things. He's talking about how much he loved Nazis. I don't have the clips right here in front of me. I could dig them up. He talked about how much he loved Nazis, how much there's a lot of things he loves about Hitler. A lot of things. And that's a direct quote. So then he posted a swastika and he got banned from Twitter. And he didn't like that, so he started going after Elon Musk. Where was his Instagram? Was this an Instagram
it was
post?
on his Instagram.
Here's what he wrote on Instagram. And this is a quote from Kanye West now. Am I the only one who thinks Elon could be half Chinese? Have you ever seen his pics as a child? Take a Chinese genius and mate them with a South African supermodel, and we have an Elon. I say an Elon because they probably made 10 to 30 Elons, and he's the first genetic hybrid that stuck. Well, let's not forget about Obama. I'm sorry for using curse words in church, but I don't have another word for Obama yet. Yay 24, let's unify and find out. LUAFO.
That was a wild ride.
There's just, I would say, it's trite. There's a lot to unpack here, but I don't think I want to unpack that. No. I think I just want to kind of leave it alone.
Now, the best part about it was Elon responding with Elmau.
Yeah. Yeah, Elon's just laughing about it because that's something that is so stupid, it's hilarious. It's like when somebody calls you a honky. I always thought that. Like, whenever I got called a honky by someone, I just laugh. Like, that's supposed to be insulting, I know, but I'm not insulted because it just sounds so funny.
Have we ruled out, like, some kind of very well-thought-out Andy Kaufman-esque bit
You
here?
know what?
Like, is he doing a bit?
Look, those are the two things. Is Kanye, is Ye mentally ill? Is he having an episode? Is he having a mental break right now? Or is it performance art? And that's, when I say performance art, I'm talking, yes, like an Andy Kaufman committed to the bit.
Yeah, because if he did, that means he would know he'd lose all his sponsors. And that's some commitment there. So I'm leaning more towards he's having an episode. That was what Ben Shapiro said. He's bipolar and he's having a manic episode.
Right. Or he's not bipolar and he's just very committed to this gimmick. All right, Bud, you had some good stuff coming on the Twitterverse.
I got some amusing stuff here. President Biden got fact-checked again.
Nice.
This might be one of the best things to come out of Elon Musk owning Twitter is that this would have never happened before. The curation team would have put a stop to it. But so President Biden tweets out, "We are building an economy from the bottom up and the middle out by creating more jobs than any administration in the history at this point in the presidency." And he's got a chart that's got a ton of jobs, showing a ton of jobs created by month, like just dwarfing all the others. And Trump in the negative lost all these jobs. And then the fact checkers, readers added context they thought the people might want to know. This graph misleadingly credits Biden for the creation of new jobs. The spike in jobs is more accurately attributed to the lifting of COVID-19 restrictions and at the state and local level. And these are not new jobs, but instead jobs that are returning to the economy pre-COVID-19.
There you go. That is the Bird Watch feature on Twitter. I'd never seen it before Elon took over, applied to a presidential Twitter account. Didn't you have something earlier about some sort of Santa Claus who he wouldn't buy Nerf guns for a kid?
No, this kid goes to see Santa. Spoiler alert: the poor kid ends up crying. Sorry to make you listen to this, but okay. So the kid has asked Santa for a Nerf gun, and It's kind of hard to hear it.
No guns. Nerf guns. No, not even a Nerf gun. No, if your dad wants to get it for you, that's fine, but I can't bring it to you. But what else would you like? Lots of other toys. There's Legos, there's bicycles, there's cars and trucks. What do you think? What do you think?
So at this point, the kid starts crying. He doesn't know what to do because Santa, the guy is dressed as Santa, and he's like, "No, I'm not." And the Santa has a very sour look on his face.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you doing? Billy Bob Thornton and Bad Santa did a better job than this.
Santa doesn't talk like that either. I mean, if you're hired to be a Santa, at least put the effort into the voice. Something like that, something jolly.
That sounds a little violent, Jimmy. I don't know. It's a little more, but he's just, no, kid. No, you ain't getting no Nerf gun.
No, I can't bring any guns. No, I can't. Your daddy can get for you, but I can't bring you a gun because I'm Santa.
It's not how the magic works.
That's absurd.
He didn't ask the guy for a Glock.
No, dude, he didn't even ask him for like a pellet gun or a BB gun.
Yeah,
you know, I get it.
We got a whole movie about that.
Right, the whole, you'll shoot your eye out.
He even could have been comical about it, but like, oh, I don't know about guns. Haven't you seen that movie? He could have done anything but just be awful.
Yeah, that was a pretty awful clip. Oh, hey, this just in on the Twitter machine. You guys remember Michael Avenatti? He's going to jail. He's going to prison. Disgraced attorney Michael Avenatti sentenced to 14 years in prison for obstruction and embezzling millions of dollars from his clients. I guess this is unrelated to the Stormy Daniels, although he tried to take advantage of Stormy Daniels. I guess this also might be unrelated to the what did he try to do with Nike? He tried to extort Nike, didn't he? So yeah, now we've got, this is great. Let's revisit this. This is, we'll keep an eye on this for any language, bud, but this is how the mainstream media loved Michael Avenatti. They were sunshine pumpers for Michael Avenatti when President Donald Trump was in office. We got this right here. Here we go.
He's Donald Trump's worst nightmare, Michael Avenatti.
Joining us once again is Michael Avenatti.
Let's bring in Michael Avenatti.
Michael Avenatti. Michael Avenatti.
Michael Avenatti, thank you very much. He's out there saving the country.
Don Meacham says he may be the savior of the republic.
You are something of a folk hero now.
I owe Michael Avenatti an apology. I've been saying enough already, Michael. I've seen you everywhere. What do you have left to say? I was wrong, brother. You have a lot to say. I am just dying to hear what you think.
These people all like you.
I'm the only person right here Donald Trump fears more than Robert Miller.
We think you guys are the tip of the spear that's going to take down Donald Trump.
Look, they would have anybody on CNN, MSNBC, Bill Maher at the time, anybody who was saying mean things about Donald Trump. I mean, anybody who thought they could take down Trump. Well, yeah, you had Brian Stelter saying, I'm taking you seriously as a presidential contender because of your presence on cable news. This goes on for an entire 2 minutes. They love this guy. And now he's going to prison for 14 years for fraud and embezzlement. That just, look, not everybody who says things you like are good people. Yeah, just like when Kanye was saying things that you liked, when Kanye was supporting Donald Trump or whatever it was, it doesn't mean that you need to let's jump on Kanye's bandwagon. Same thing with Michael Avenatti.
I always knew there was something about him I liked.
Oh, yeah. Now I didn't like him before, but now he's saying things that I like, so now I love him. And it's like everybody needs to chill out a little bit with all the hero worship.
Really quick, Not the Bee put out, there's an article, there's tattoo shops that are offering to remove your Kanye tattoo for free.
Are there a lot of Kanye tattoos? I've seen a few.
Yeah, I suppose so.
Yay. I just never understood, what was the big deal? Because I know people who love Kanye West, or did, up until this point where he's saying all kinds of insane things. Boy, I seriously, I knew a lot of people over the past 10, 12 years who, they think he's brilliant. They think he's a genius. And I just hear, it's not for me. I get it. It's not music for me.
I heard a really good comparison. They said, he doesn't write a lot of his own music. A lot of it is sampling, taking music, bits from
that's hip hop now. You know,
taking samples from other stuff and putting it together to make something else. And he's trying to do that with politics, and he's not doing a good job. He's taking these little bits he's hearing from people and trying to put them together, and we're getting this insanity.
All you have to do is not go out and praise Hitler. That might be
a pretty easy first step towards talking in politics.
It should be on the list of things not to do ever in any venue. All right. Anything else, bud?
No, nothing in particular.
All right. So we got Name Drop coming up. I've got some Tigers tickets. Memphis Tiger Hoops. They're going to play Texas A&M on December 17th at the FedEx Forum, 6 p.m. I've got tickets for you with Name Drop. That's coming your way. Also, we got to say goodbye to an old friend. I mean, one of our oldest friends has passed on. This is a guy you know. This is a guy you may not have known he was even old or even sick. But he's been around my whole life and probably yours too. Your kids have seen him. You've seen him. And we will say goodbye to him next, right here in the Nation of Jake. All right, welcome back to the Nation of Jake. News Talk 98.9, the Roar of Memphis.
Yes, have some.
And we've got Name Drop coming your way in just a few minutes. If you want some tickets to go see your Memphis Tigers take on Texas A&M at the FedEx Forum on December 17th, 6 p.m. tip-off, I've got 2 tickets. All you have to do is play Name Drop at 683-0989, 683-0989. That's the number to call in just a few minutes. What time we got? Yeah, we got about 10 minutes or so. We'll play Name Drop. All right. Yeah, I was saddened to hear about this. Bob from Sesame Street died.
Brought you a lot of that. Hey, listen, I was just talking about some of the people that lived around our neighborhood. And,
you were?
Yeah.
What'd you say?
Long as you look sort of like, a grocer, one of those people around the neighborhood, why don't we do that song about the people in your neighborhood?
Well, I'd rather not, actually.
Oh, come on. It's a nice song.
Well, okay, but you start off.
All right, I'll start off. Well, now, who are the people in your neighborhood? In your neighborhood. In your neighborhood. Say, who are the
Bob
people
McGrath.
in your neighborhood?
I never knew his name. I just knew him as Bob. He's Bob from Sesame Street. He's one of the humans there on Sesame Street. He's passed away at the age of 90. He was surrounded by family there, died peacefully. A release came out about old Bob from Sesame Street. Now, here's the thing about a guy like Bob from Sesame Street. I started watching Sesame Street in the early 80s. I was born in 1978, very late 78. So by the time I started watching Sesame Street, it was 1980 or so before I could even know what was going on. So, I knew about Bob and Gordon and Susan and Maria and Luis and Linda and Olivia and Mr. Hooper, Mr. Hooper was even old then. But here's why time kind of messes with you. In the 80s, I was watching Sesame Street, but a lot of those episodes were filmed like in the 60s and 70s. Sesame Street debuted in 1969 or something. So I'm watching 10-year-old shows with Bob McGrath. And then I'm watching more, Bob Updated, Bob, and so Bob was there, Maria was there, and all these folks were there, but they've repurposed all these shows for so long. I never even knew how old Bob was. Right? Ah, I love Sesame Street, man. There's some good memories. R.I.P. Bob McGrath. I hope Gordon lives forever. I hope he has not passed on. I don't know. I don't know how old Gordon is. Let's play Name Drop. 683-0989. Call me now. 901-683-0989.
He's been a good dog.
What, named after the dog? The Nation of Jake on News Talk 98.9, the Roar of Memphis.
All right, welcome to the third shift.
Yes, have some.
Hour number 3 of the Nation of Jake on News Talk 98.9, the Roar of Memphis. From the East Memphis studios alongside Bud the producer on a rainy Monday here on December the 5th. This is the first Monday in December. There's some significance there If there is, I don't know what it is. 683-0989, 683-0989. Anything during hour number 3 is fair game. Anything from hours number 1 and 2, don't forget to subscribe to the Nation of Jake podcast. You can hit the link on the Facebook page or on the old Twitter at Nation of Jake. You can catch up on everything we've talked to this point, but we can bring it all back for hour 3 if you want. We can talk about who should be Memphis's Person of the Year. Time Magazine is going to name their Person of the Year on Wednesday. They've narrowed it down. We'll get into this a little bit more coming up later in hour number 3. But I was going to ask you, 683-0989, who should be Memphis's Person of the Year? Who's been the most consequential Memphian of the year 2022? Now, this will be a process here. All throughout the rest of the remaining few weeks of 2022, you'll have a lot of year-end lists. You'll have a lot of these types of awards, the most, the best, all that. But who is Memphis's Person of the Year? 683-0989. Also, the Memphis Tigers are headed to the First Responders Bowl. That's going to happen on December 27th, 2:15 p.m. kickoff right here on News Talk 98.9. What are some of the worst bowl sponsors? Now, Serve Pro is fine. It's a fine bowl sponsor for the First Responders Bowl. Memphis is going to take on Utah State. We hope they do well, and we hope that Memphis football will be on the upswing from here on out. But, man, there are some real goofy-sounding sponsors of some of these bowl games. What would be some of the worst sponsors? We talked about the FTX Bowl. Probably right now, a bankrupt crypto exchange doesn't need to be spending their money on bowl game sponsorships. Or maybe Balenciaga, the clothing company that is under fire for featuring children and bondage gear in their marketing. Probably not the time for a Balenciaga Bowl. Don't get me started on the Wanda Bowl, all right, the Shelby County Clerks Bowl. We'll talk more about that coming up if you want, all on the Rick's Powder Coating text line. Right now, it is time to play the game. The game of games.
Shall we play a game?
What's your name, dude?
Nation of Jake's 4 o'clock name drop.
Drop!
On News Talk 98.9.
Say it!
Name of the game is Name Drop. As you know, we play it every day right here on the Nation of Jake, News Talk 98.9, the Roar of Memphis. Today, I believe Travis. Travis is our contestant. What's happening, Travis?
How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well, man. You pumped up about the big bowl game, Memphis Tigers, Utah State. Also, man, Memphis Hoops. It's a good time to be a Tiger, ain't it? Yeah, Memphis with a big win over Ole Miss. And now, hey, Travis, I've got a couple of tickets to see Memphis take on Texas A&M at the FedEx Forum on December 17th at 6 p.m. You a big Tiger Hoops guy?
Go Tigers.
Go Tigers, says Travis. All right, Travis, have you ever played Name Drop with us before?
No, but I listened to it, so I know how it goes.
All right, so you have no record. This is your first shot at it. For all those who don't know how to play, as the Nation of Jake is growing, Travis, so I know that you know how to play. But for those who don't, simple game. I've got an audio clip. This is somebody who is in the news. All you have to do is listen to the clip, identify who's speaking, and at the end of the clip, when I tell you to, you drop their name, and then boom, you're going to go see the Tigers take on the Aggies. Are you ready, Travis?
Yes, sir.
All right, here we go. If I can get my cursor right. Here we go.
One last story. You know, y'all have kids. Everybody have kids, I hope. You have kids that they love to watch all these shows, and you have to sit there and watch them with them and stuff, and sooner or later, you get where you like the shows, but they don't like them no more. And now you have to watch them by yourself, and you feel like a dirty old man. Like I had to rent the neighbor's kid to go see Jungle Book like a year ago because my son didn't want to go with me to see Jungle Book, and I don't want to look like a weird guy in this theater watching Jungle Book.
All right, Travis, drop that name.
Man. Oh, man. No clue. Shit.
Whoa! Keep it clean, Travis. You have no names, none whatsoever. Travis could not do it. Travis he loses.
You lose. Good day, sir. You get nothing.
Travis is not going to win today. So if you want to steal it from Travis, you can do that at 683-0989. 683-0989. We can go ahead and listen to the clip one more time while we get some people on the phone to call 683-0989.
And I just thank you guys. One last story. You know, y'all have kids. Everybody have kids, I hope. You have kids that they love to watch all these shows, and you have to sit there and watch them with them and stuff. And sooner or later, you get where you like the shows, but they don't like them no more. And now you have to watch them by yourself, and you feel like a dirty old man. Like I had to rent the neighbor's kid to go see Jungle Book like a year ago because my son didn't want to go with me to see Jungle Book, and I don't want to look like a weird guy in this theater watching Jungle Book.
All right. There's the clip. I believe Chris is on the line. Chris, welcome to the Nation of Jake. How are you?
I'm great. Love your show.
Hey, appreciate you. Appreciate you listening. Appreciate you playing. If you want to, you can go ahead and drop that name.
Herschel Walker.
Drop!
Yeah, that's right. Herschel Walker, the big runoff. It'll be over tomorrow. Well, maybe. You've got Herschel Walker running for the Senate in Georgia against Senator Raphael Warnock. And there's another clip, Chris, where I think Herschel Walker talks a little bit too much. He goes off on these tangents. Last time, he was talking about the movie Fright Night and vampires and werewolves, and he was trying to go through the plot of the movie Fright Night. Now he's talking about having to rent his neighbor's kid so he can go out and watch kids' movies without looking like a weirdo. Have you been following any of this at all, Chris?
I watch a little bit of it. I hear the Herschel saga on your show, and
sure,
and you know, he's got an uphill battle. I mean, the guy's he's smart, but you know, the left is gonna, you know, just kill him in the media, just like whatever every other Republican that runs for something. You know, it's just.
Well,
it's
look,
just what
Chris,
we have to deal with from now on.
Well, so it's also this, Chris. He doesn't do himself any favors. I mean, it's just me and you talking here, Chris. You know, we can drop all the pretenses. Do you think that Herschel Walker was a good choice in the primary to be a senator in the U.S. Senate? I mean, do you think he's a good candidate?
I think any candidate that's not a Democrat is a great candidate.
Okay, that's neither here nor there. Like you and I can agree. It's just me and you talking here, Chris. Nobody else is talking. I will never vote for a Democrat. If I were in that voting booth, if I was in that voting booth and it said Herschel Walker and then Raphael Warnock, I am hitting the button for Herschel every time, regardless of how silly he sounds. But let's just say this: we, being outsiders that we are, do you want to be in that voting booth? I mean, look, you're just gonna shrug your shoulders and go, okay, you're just voting for the Republicans, sure, but you have two very bad candidates, Chris.
Well, I don't think that Herschel is a bad candidate. I think that I don't. I mean, he's got the name recognition that you have to have these days, and he might be a little bit morally challenged in his past relationships, but you know what? What athlete in this day and age isn't? And as far as candidates go, yeah, there's some good candidates that's probably unknown. Herschel is known, and people, regardless of his past discrepancies that have been brought up, he's got conservative values and he's got name recognition. So yeah, I think for the Republican Party, he's a good candidate. I
think that you are, a world-class athlete that Herschel Walker was, and to a degree is, you are as world-class of an athlete in mental gymnastics, Chris. He's not a good candidate, my man. He's just not a good candidate. As somebody
being a pro athlete myself, I really think that a half of the votes that he gets are because of name recognition.
There's a lot to be said for that, man. Name recognition goes a long way. But on the flip side of that, there are a lot of people who see the kinds of things that he says, who have gotten in all the allegations of, the secret family, the paying for abortions.
He was hit on the head a lot.
Yeah,
he was hit on the head a lot. I mean, give him a break.
Right, but that's what I'm saying is I would rather Herschel Walker just go be Herschel Walker instead of being a lightning rod, instead of being a politician. I can tell you, as a guy who has lived in, has spent, and continues to spend a lot of time in the state of Georgia, there are a lot of just straight up popular Republicans in the state of Georgia who it wouldn't gotten to a runoff, my man. It would not have gotten to a runoff with a Doug Collins or somebody. You could have put the former governor.
I don't think anybody would have beaten Warlock without that name recognition. I don't think anybody would be in a runoff
disagree.
at all.
I think no. See, I disagree. I think that a guy like their governor, Brian Kemp, who is a straight down the middle, he's very conservative, he's a competent governor. He was able to beat Stacey Abrams, who Stacey Abrams has all the name recognition in the world because they've tried to make her a superstar nationally. He beat her.
True.
He beat her handily. All you had to do was have a down the middle conservative Republican, just a regular guy. Doug Collins would have been a perfect choice. The problem is
your knowledge is more intimate of Georgia than mine.
I've spent so much time there. I'm
not going to argue with you on that. You're right. I just know that Herschel and many other candidates over the years and have won seats in both branches of that side of government that have had name recognition, and that's about it. I mean,
sure. Well, look, Dr. Oz had name recognition, my man, and he got beat by Frankenstein. Well, I mean, he got beat by a guy who can't even speak. So, I mean, the name recognition thing only goes so far. Because here's the thing.
I mean, it got him elected, but he might not have fulfilled what he promised he was going to do. So I think people, they gave him a shot. So, I'll just say this and collect my tickets. But
and move right along.
I'm just going to say this. Republicans from now on have no chance in the media, on social media, no chance until Elon just starts unloading all the information he's finding. I think finally there'll be some accountability in this crap that we've got shoved in our faces every day. I think finally there's going to be some accountability, and then it might be a fair playing field.
Look, man, I don't disagree.
Right now it's not.
I don't disagree with what you're saying. I just don't think it. I just don't think it makes Herschel Walker a very good candidate for the Senate. That's all. I mean, he
might not be, but he is a Republican, so he's got my vote if I lived in Georgia, but he doesn't. So.
Gotcha. All right, and that's why we're keeping an eye on it. This is a big national race of national import. It just happens to be going on in Georgia. Hey, Chris, congratulations! You're going to go see the Tigers against Texas A&M on the 17th, my man, at the FedEx Forum.
Right.
Couple of tickets. Those are yours. All right. There you go.
4 seats, I hope.
Oh, they're seats. They're getting you in the building, my man. Hey, there's something about gift horse and mouths. Don't do it. You earned them, though. It was not a gift. You earned it. All right, Chris, get out of here. Get off my phone. Yeah. There you go. Yeah, look. You have to be able to assess the situation for what it is. Just because he's got an R by his name doesn't make him a good candidate. I'll tell you right now, Herschel Walker should not be the candidate for Senate. He is. People in Georgia have a decision to make. Do I like the fact that it went to a runoff? It was in a runoff last time in 2020. They had a big runoff election, and in 2 seats in the Senate out of Georgia went to Democrats. So you have to get better candidates in there. We've seen it. Dr. Oz was backed by Trump. He backed a loser. There's a lot of losers that were backed in critical races. Not all of them, but man, this was a big miss But we'll have to see what happens tomorrow. Look, tomorrow during this runoff, if Herschel Walker wins, then you got Senator Herschel Walker, and you've got a 50-50 Senate. And that's the best you could hope for at this point. So I guess, look, all's forgiven if he wins. But, man, he goes on these odd tangents. And all it does is give fuel to the other side. So if you had a more polished, middle-of-the-road Republican, I think you could go a lot farther in Georgia and you wouldn't even be in a runoff. So that's one of those stories we'll be keeping an eye on. It's a national story. We'll get into some more local stuff here coming up. A lot of rain. MLGW, their outage line is down. We can talk more about these bowl games. What are the bowl sponsors that you think would be wholly inappropriate? We got some of that going on in the Rick's Powder Coating text line. And also there's a Supreme Court case going on, arguments being made about a web designer who doesn't feel comfortable for religious reasons to build a website for a gay wedding. This is kind of like the Colorado cake baker situation. We'll talk about all that coming up next right here in the Nation of Jake. All right, welcome back to the Nation of Jake.
Yes, have some.
NewsTalk 98.9, the roar of Memphis. 683-0989, 683-0989. That's the Rick's Powder Coating text line. We'll talk more about some of these bowl sponsorships. There's some weird ones. There's not any that are inappropriate, although, I guess they've opened it up for beer, for gambling, for adult entertainment. But we're not seeing any OnlyFans bowls. Not yet. We'll have to keep an eye on it. Maybe there'll be a sea change in the way that these schools do business. But it's more of show me the money kind of thing. We'll talk about that coming up in a little bit. Also asking you, what are some of the worst possible bowl sponsorships? I like the one, who said the Tidy Bowl? I liked that one. That was maybe, you know what, you could also get maybe one of those faux places. One of those noodle bowl places, the Noodle Bowl. I think that'd be it's good to incorporate the name of the bowl into the sponsorship.
That was Jeremy that suggested the Tidy Bowl.
The Tidy Bowl. That's some of like the worst matchup when everybody plays in the Tidy Bowl, the toilet bowl. All right, 683-0989, 683-0989. Looking for some updates from the Shelby County Commission meeting. We'll kind of have a full account of that tomorrow. Following in real time it's kind of difficult. I think that on the agenda, there's this dust up over the Germantown schools. Germantown Elementary, Middle, and High School. Those were Shelby County schools, and then there was this a merger of the Shelby County schools with Memphis City schools, and the demerger when all the municipalities got their own school districts. And I guess this past year, the Tennessee State Legislature, they decided that a school district cannot operate a school in the boundaries of another. And essentially, this was a law that would allow Germantown to reacquire those namesake schools, Germantown Elementary, Middle, and High School. Now, I don't think that Germantown has the interest in that property being schools. I think that they want to sell the property and use it for Germantown things. I think a medical center. They look, they're not making any more land in Germantown. It's landlocked. You can't expand. You're not going to annex. So every little bit counts, and that's right there in old Germantown. But I guess the Memphis Shelby County schools, they didn't like the offer that Germantown made because they've got, 4 more weeks to figure out, come to an agreement to hand over those schools. Whether it's a long, drawn-out succession plan or if it's something more immediate. But I guess there is an agreement that has been made. So I guess that Germantown will acquire those schools, and it's going to involve, money towards building a new school for a lot of the kids in southeast Shelby County. So $75 million in county funding towards a new Memphis Shelby County Schools high school. And it's been in the works for a little bit, so it seems like it'll probably stay out of court. We'll have more on this and more tomorrow, especially I want to see if Wanda Halbert was going to make an appearance at the commission meeting about this Riverdale office. All right, welcome back.
Yes, have some.
It's the Nation of Jake, News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis. 683-0989, 683-0989. That is the Rick's powder coating text line. Look, I would dig more into the Twitter files, but to be honest with you, that whole story kind of bores me. I kind of agree. It's a bit of a snooze fest because all the Twitter files did, and no offense to Matt Taibbi, who I think has been doing a great job on his own as an independent journalist, one of the few out there who is able to sustain his own journalistic integrity and really his own Substack where he makes a ton of money doing it. I just don't think that really there was anything new that was uncovered. It was just kind of like confirms what we already knew. There were people within Twitter who are partisan and have agendas, and they decided to go ahead and shut things down that they either didn't like, things they thought would hurt Joe Biden's chances of being elected president in 2020. I mean, it's like we all knew what it was. So when the Twitter files came out, there wasn't enough of a bombshell to change anybody's mind, and all it really did was confirm what people already knew. So, yeah, I mean, it's helpful to know exactly who was complicit and how it all went down. But really, what's useful is that, now Elon Musk can show you, okay, that's how it used to work, and it's not going to work like that anymore. We're not going to do that going forward. Now, all this nonsense where, President Trump is talking about suspending constitutional rules and relitigating 2020 in light of the Twitter files, that is goofy. I saw this headline. Check it out. Trump rebuked for call to suspend Constitution over 2020 election lies. I love the word rebuked. Have you ever been rebuked, Bud?
I don't think so.
I've been rebuffed.
I'd know if I had, right?
Yeah. Being rebuked. It's like, I've been rebuffed. I've been reprimanded, but I'm not so sure I've been rebuked. That sounds bad. Being rebuked. So look, the Twitter files, look, people have been talking about it all day. You can go find somebody to tell you why it matters and why it's a huge deal. And I don't want to undersell it. I don't want to say it doesn't matter. I just don't think that anything new really has been uncovered because we knew that the regime who was running Twitter was corrupt, right? We knew that they selectively shut down people. It's already there. So, look, good job to Matt Taibbi and Elon Musk and whoever else to actually put it out there and be transparent about it. But I'm not going to sit there and do 3 hours on the Twitter files. You can do your own independent research on why it matters or why it doesn't. And that's just it right now. Like this is my big beef with media in general, is that if you think it matters and it's a huge deal, you can find somebody to confirm that for you. If you think that it is a nothing burger, you can find other people to confirm that for you. So I'd rather move on to other stuff. I was reading about this Supreme Court case, and I had no idea this was even going on today. You guys know this is like another bakery. It's not a bakery, but it's another case like this. The U.S. Supreme Court weighs LGBTQ protections versus free speech. All right, this is from the Washington News Bureau out of Washington, D.C. The U.S. Supreme Court heard arguments in a case Monday that explores the intersection of the right to free speech and the rights of LGBTQ people to be protected against discrimination. The case is centered on Colorado web designer Lori Smith, who refuses to design wedding websites for same-sex couples because of her Christian faith. Now, we make all kinds of exceptions and accommodations for people's religions. All right? We do this in this country. You have the right to free exercise of religion. So doing something, being compelled to do something that is against your religion is unconstitutional, is it not? I mean, it's pretty simplistic. It's a simple explanation of it. This goes on. Smith argues her actions should be protected by the First Amendment despite a state anti-discrimination law. The line is that no one on any side of any debate has to be compelled to express a message that violates their core convictions, argued attorney Kristen Wagoner with Alliance Defending Freedom. I want to promote causes that are consistent with my faith, said Smith after arguments wrapped up. Lower courts have ruled against Smith, finding that Colorado has a compelling interest to require a business to serve all the state's citizens. The company cannot refuse to serve gay couples, as it seeks to do here, just as a Christmas store cannot announce no Jews allowed, argued attorney Eric Olson on behalf of the state of Colorado. Clashing chants of protesters were heard outside the courthouse Monday morning. Create, don't regulate, chanted protesters in support of Smith. Freedom from religion means freedom from yours, chanted LGBTQ rights protesters. This latest case comes as there are growing concerns about whether the conservative-leaning court will revisit the ruling legalizing same-sex marriage as it overturned Roe v. Wade earlier this year. LGBTQ protesters said they're worried about this latest case stripping away even more protections. It sounds a lot like, wasn't the Colorado wedding cake baker, wasn't the Colorado cake baker, wasn't that in Colorado as well? I think it was. So I think that, these are both centered in Colorado. So I guess these state laws that compel people, no matter what their religion, to take part in things that are against their religion, I don't like that idea. I also don't like it when people challenge things in court when they could just as easily go to a different web designer or go to a different baker. Something like that is consultative. Look, I don't think that a baker has cakes and somebody comes in and says, hey, I'd like to buy that cake for my wedding. And they say, well, it's a gay wedding. Well, you can't buy that cake. Now, I think that a baker in a situation like that says, you know what? I'm not comfortable, baking the cake for this wedding, decorating it, being a part of planning your wedding. Maybe another cake shop is where you should go. This project isn't going to work for me. Same with the wedding website. Say, you know what? There's probably a different web developer who can do a better job for you. And then somebody says, okay, I don't like your decision, but I'm just going to go take my business elsewhere. And then in the marketplace, people can then talk bad about you. They can call you whatever they want. They can say, oh, yeah, this Smith lady who doesn't want to do the gay wedding website, she's a bigot. And you know what people will do? They'll go, well, I don't want to be associated with her. Or they might say, well, she's Christian and that's against her religion. And so I do want to be associated with her. It's just called free association. Now, I thought that Supreme Court justices were smart. I really did. I thought that, they have all this time to prepare. They can make these great analogies because I think that that's a lot of what a Supreme Court justice will do. Here we have some clips from this Supreme Court case, these arguments. Now, Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson creates a hypothetical to, I guess, contrast and compare the case with this wedding web developer who doesn't want to do the gay wedding. And I'm not sure that she understands quite that her analogy is stupid. Here we go. We got this over here, but on PC2, please. Here we go.
Exact same analysis to say, is the parade organizers otherwise...
But Hurley was a private association. It wasn't a public business. What I'm asking you is I have a public business. I'm a photographer. My belief is that...
Hold on. What is a public business? You have a public business, a business that is open to the public, I suppose.
I'm doing It's a Wonderful Life scenes. That's what I'm offering. Okay? I want to do video depictions of It's a Wonderful Life. And I'm knowing that movie very well. I want to be authentic, and so only white children and families can be customers for that particular product. Everybody else can. I'll give to everybody else. I'll sell them anything they want.
Wait, what is the product that she's selling? She's selling depictions of It's a Wonderful Life. She's a photographer, and she's offering up that I guess you can take part in some sort of recreate a scene from It's a Wonderful Life, but they have to be authentic, so only white people can be in the scene from It's a Wonderful Life. I think that's what she's saying.
Just not the It's a Wonderful Life depictions. I'm expressing something, right, for your purposes, that speech. What about, what's the other step? It's speech, and I can say anti-discrimination laws can't make me sell the It's a Wonderful Life package to non-white individuals.
In the same way, I would say, first of all, in the same way that this court, when there is a message and a status and it's overlapping, the court would say that message wins in that instance.
So
I don't think that
I don't have to sell it to.
I don't think that message is in that exact same.
I'm confused. I'm confused because Ketanji Brown Jackson, Justice Jackson here, she pretty much doesn't she describe what movie makers do when they put out casting calls? I mean, isn't that essentially? I mean, because I would hear her argument and say, all right, so you can't base anything on race, so that when you do a casting call for a character who is white or black or other, that you are discriminating if you do that. I guess, I don't know. I think this is a bad analogy. Like, I don't think the analogy works at all. We're talking about somebody who practices a religion. And so if you are a devout Christian in your denomination, in your religion, it says that homosexuality is a sin, and you don't believe that same-sex marriage is allowable by God's law, and that you will be somehow condemned if you are to take part in it, then by the state forcing you to take part in it, that you are being condemned to hell. And that might sound silly to some people, right? That might sound silly, but you know what? To a devout religious person, it does not seem silly. And I would caution people against dismissing the very, real religious convictions of people. So for me, I listened to her talk about, you're doing It's a Wonderful Life depictions in a photograph. It just doesn't really work. The analogy doesn't work. How about this, man? Like, when you call Kroger, you could try this if you wanted. If you wanted, you could call Kroger and ask them to make a Hitler birthday cake for you. They could say no. If you called Kroger or any other cake maker, what if they said, hey, I want you to put a swastika on a cake for me? And they say no. Why? Well, because that violates my rules. Like, I've got rules against that. I don't think that I should have to make a cake with a swastika on it or a Confederate flag or whatever. It's like, because that goes against my values. I'm not making that cake. Not only does it go against my values, I don't want to be associated with that for fear that other people would either boycott my business or they would think that I'm aligned with something that I don't want to be aligned with. How is it any different? If you are a Christian, if you're devout, or if you're Muslim, I mean, how about that? I mean, it can apply to anybody whose religion prohibits them from taking part in any kind of gay marriage ceremony, whether it's something as ancillary as the website or baking the cake or whatever it is. I think it's very different than if I have a store and you come into my store to buy supplies, flowers, whatever it is, and you're buying them off the shelf, because when you're doing a website for somebody or a video, baking their cake for them, it's highly consultative, right? So if it goes against my values to take part in whatever event or whatever message you're sending out, because I don't think anybody would argue against a bakery or any establishment who refused to go along with a swastika cake or anything like, or even like a Confederate flag cake. They would say, "Oh yeah, why it's unreasonable for you to ask them to do that." Well, why? Well, I mean, it's free speech, right? It's like, I can have a swastika cake made if I want. I don't want to, but if we're talking about stupid hypotheticals, I think my hypothetical is way better than that of Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, because I have to this point I have no idea. Number one, who would start a business, where hey, I'm offering up this It's a Wonderful Life depiction, but for whites only. That's silly. Nobody would do that. I mean, because, you can say somebody could. Well, then no, they can't. You can't do that. It's not a religious-based argument, and everything is the free exercise of religion as outlined in the First Amendment. That's what this is all based on. And again, I don't wear a black robe. If I did, I wouldn't wear pants under it. But I don't wear a black robe. I'm not on the Supreme Court. So, people can just take one listen to me on the radio and go, what do you know, idiot? You didn't even go to law school. Well, it doesn't matter. What matters is common sense here. Anybody who is serious about having their wedding website made would just go to whoever could and would do it the most efficiently and for the best price and do the best job, the best value. But instead, they want to use this situation. They want to target either, faith-based or Christian contractors, whether it's people who bake cakes, people who build websites, and they want to go give them a hard time, and they want to send a message saying, hey, you will comply with what we want or we will ruin you, because that's what this is. 683-0989. 683-0989. Rick's Powder Coating text line is wide open. Coming back, we'll talk more about these bowl game sponsorships, and we will see what you have to say about this Supreme Court case. We'll do it next right here in the Nation of Jake. All right, welcome back to the Nation of Jake.
Yes, have some.
NewsTalk 98.9, the roar of Memphis. Still wet out there. I think the rain has slacked off a little bit, but it's coming back. It's going to be 2 to 5 inches this week. So if you're getting out in it, be careful, be safe. What do they say? The 5 points of defensive driving. Bud, what are the 5 points of defensive driving? Go.
I don't know. I'm a terrible driver.
Come on, man.
I'm good at it. I'm way too aggressive.
All good kids love milk. All good kids love milk. You know that, right? A. I forget what A is. All good kids love milk. L.
I don't feel like I'm going to drive any safer.
Leave yourself an out. I know that one. C. Let's see. Aim high in steering. A. All. Aim high in steering. What's the next one? Good kids. Good. G. Get the big picture when you're driving. Always get the big picture.
I can't say I've ever heard these.
Kids. Keep your eyes moving. That's it. These are the 5 points of defensive driving. L. Leave yourself an out. Always leave yourself an out. And then the 5th one is make sure they see you. All good kids love milk. The 5 points of defensive driving.
Where'd you learn that?
I learned that from my father. My father was teaching me how to drive, and I can't say that I always employed them because I did my fair share of fender bending when I was a young guy. But I learned those.
There's not been an accident yet. Knock on wood.
Oh my goodness! Oh, I've been in plenty.
I just speed. I have a lead foot.
Yeah, but all good kids love milk. That is the 5 points of defensive driving, and also they were reinforced by the great Shannon Pittner from Pittner Driving School. See, I aced driving school. I just got a little bit distracted when I was driving. I got a little bit too. I don't do it anymore. I drive slow. I do all the points of defensive driving, the aiming high and the steering and whatnot.
See, I do all that stuff when I'm driving like a company car or somebody else. Like if I borrow a car or drive someone else's. But when I'm driving my car, I speed. I'm not gonna pretend I don't.
So yeah, I don't. I go the posted speed limits, and I leave myself plenty of room, especially when it's raining. Just know that speed limit is for most favorable conditions. When it's raining, just take a little bit of lead out of there. All right, so here we go. We've got these bowl games, and we got the Serve Pro First Responders Bowl. Memphis is going to play against Utah State on December 27th. 2:15 is the kickoff. Pre-game programming around 10 a.m. that day. But I was looking through all the bowl games. I think, let's see, there's none that really are controversial. I think the most controversial one is the Duke's Mayo Bowl. Yeah, Duke's Mayo Bowl, because there's always people in the crowd. They'll eat like some big thing of yogurt, and they'll make it look like it's mayonnaise. Ugh. Yeah, now I guess the Cheez-It Bowl. The Cheez-It Citrus Bowl. Yeah, I saw some...
Yeah, Cheez-It and citrus. That's painting a bad picture.
Yeah. I was thinking about other bowl games that probably wouldn't be the best choices. The FTX Bowl, I think with FTX, that crypto exchange, there's an argument to be made it was a scam in the first place, but the fact that it's bankrupt, probably they don't need to spend a bunch of money on a bowl game sponsorship. That could be, though, ITT Tech versus Trump University in the FTX Bowl. How about the Balenciaga Bowl? Penn State versus Baylor. I don't think that they need to be sponsoring bowl games. I still love the idea, though, the Shelby County Clerks Bowl, lovingly referred to as the Wanda Bowl. Yeah, Shelby County Clerk trying to rehab its image. Yeah. It'll be played on December 26th or 27th, 28th, January 1st, 2nd, 3rd, first part of January, maybe mid-February. Just whenever. Get in line early to get tickets for that one because the lines can be brutal for the Shelby County Clerk Bowl.
I cannot explain the long lines.
All right, I'll be back tomorrow at 2. So long, and thanks for all the fish.